Here's one that I did want to cover. Okay, this is one that I did want to cover that I'll definitely be clipping. But let me start over here. Okay, so let's kind of go over this in regards to logistics, okay, and trucking. So if you know, you know, but if you don't know, I'll explain it to you real quick. So I've been in trucking for 25 years. I have CDL, owner-operator, carrier, freight broker agency, Landstar agent. Don't tell anybody that's bad. Landstar carrier. Also a licensed insurance agent currently. I am currently a licensed insurance agent. So if you're looking for insurance, you feel free to reach out to me. Text me at that number, which I'll be turning the phones on in a little bit, but not as of right now. But if you are wondering, and I wanted to cover this because this is Trucking Made Successful. Now, Trucking Made Successful, I think she was a dispatcher. She blew up in regards to YouTube when she started covering like the immigrants, the non-domiciled CDLs, the English proficiency, and all that other stuff. She blew up because they were looking into fraud in the trucking industry and all that stuff. And fraud's big right now, right? Everybody wants to know about fraud and all the fraud that is basically out there, right? Okay, so in regards to that, she put out a lot of videos, and she's on X and she's on some other stuff now. But I think she had a trucking company at one time.
If that would need light. Something was wrong with the lights with that one yesterday.
Hang on, I have to move him. He's getting sidetracked and his mic is open. Trying to move him. So she blew up covering that over on X and things like that. So, encourage your gifts and gifts. We're working on that. So what I wanted to do is cover. She just came out and did an insurance video, and there are some mistakes or incorrections. Oh, hang on. Let me do this. It's only fair. It's only fair if I'm going to cover somebody that I tag them in the post. That's only fair. I think it's only fair. Okay. Doing a reaction video. Action video on your video. All right, that's only fair. It's only fair if I actually tag the person, which I just did. So I'm good to go. And do me a favor, hit the like, share this out. That'd be fantastic. Okay. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. So here is kind of what's going on. So some of the information that she has in this video is incorrect. Now, do I think that she was doing it in a way to be fraudulent or misinformation? I don't at all. I just think it's lack of knowledge, lack of understanding, and that basically, rather than, do I believe she should have jumped out and reached out to maybe some insurance people and things like that? I do, but it's more based on feelings than some facts. And I kind of want to cover that because this is kind of a topic that, one, I'm going to be going down pretty soon. I don't know when, but I'm going to be, I'll leave. We'll talk about that later. But I did want to cover this in regards to some of the stuff she says. So let's do this.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So yesterday, a really great article came out on FreightWaves written by Rob Carpenter, and it was titled, "Insurance was Trucking's Last Real Barrier to Entry. It Collapsed." Now, we all know that the barrier to entry in trucking is very, very low, and it seemed like the last hurdle was getting insurance, right?
It still is. Insurance is still a monstrous hurdle. How do I know this? Well, when I clip this, I'll show some examples when I put this out as a recorded video. One, it's expensive. Insurance can be very expensive based on certain factors. Three main factors for insurance is going to be your credit score. So if you've got bad credit, which most truck drivers unfortunately do, not all of them, but a lot do, that's going to be one. Your MVR, if you have any type of bad record, and your MVR does not just include your driving record, it also includes your insurance record. So if you have claims, and a lot of claims, but nothing's on your driver's license, as in you didn't get tickets, that could also affect your insurance. And your garaging location, where you garage the truck. is that a densely populated area with high risk of either thefts or weather damage or accidents, then that is also extremely expensive to get insurance. I see this a lot in Florida, Louisiana, things like that, like, down there where the storms hit in Louisiana. These are aspects that cause it to be extremely difficult. Also, that's just 3 factors.
In order to activate one's authority, but it seems like it all went to crap. So let's chat about
It didn't all go to crap. There's stuff that's being done that she probably doesn't know about because, again, I'm a licensed insurance agent. She is not.
all of this. And of course, I'm going to share what I have found while digging on search carriers.
Okay.
Ready? Let's
Ready.
go.
All right.
Is extremely easy in reality because all you have to do is you have to fill out some paperwork, pay $300. If you're an interstate carrier, then you get IFTA, IRP. Nothing requires any really crazy checking. Then you get some service providers involved for your ELD, BOC3, et cetera, and you are good to go.
All right, that is how you get your authority. You go online, you apply for your authority through the FMCSA, you pay $300. It shouldn't be more than that. You get a BOC3, which is a registered agent, so that you can be served in any state. If you get served to go to court, that should be about $100 or less. And then you get your UCR, your Unified Carrier Registration. You can do that through any state technically, and it's a .gov usually website. Should cost around $48 for one truck approximately. That's 1 to 3 trucks. I think it's like 0 to 3 trucks because I had to get it as a freight broker too. But as you start to have more trucks, it costs more money. That's all you need to get in to have your authority. Then insurance.
The only real hurdle in theory was insurance companies. And
It's not in theory. It's still a hurdle.
the reason is when you talk to people, of course, your authority is not active unless you have an insurance on file. And people will tell you that, oh my goodness, it's so hard to find insurance because either the quotes are astronomically high or some people keep searching and searching and there is just no insurance that is willing to cover them. According to Rob Carpenter, insurance was supposed to be the moment where someone who actually understood risk sat across from you and asked the hard questions. Are you serious about this or are you just playing trucker? Unfortunately, that is pretty much gone at this point. Now,
It is not. It is not gone at this point. Now, again, I'm going to make sure we understand the difference between people who are getting legitimate insurance and people that are not getting legitimate insurance, okay? Meaning they don't have insurance or they're faking it or they get it for a month and they're canceled and they still have 30 days and stuff like that. So insurance companies are still doing things right now to make it difficult for you to maintain your insurance. Now, let me explain what she might not know in regards to this. Just because you get insurance doesn't mean they're not going to cancel you in a month. They will take your down payment, take that money from you. Then an underwriter will look at that. And now it might be 30 days, it might be 60 days. An underwriter is going to check the policy. So although they've asked you some questions, you get your insurance. 60 days later, you're getting a cancellation notice because you're using a virtual address. Okay? So they'll take your down payment. They'll gladly take your down payment. And then 60 days later, you're being canceled.
when I was getting into the trucking industry in 2019, the most important thing that you needed to focus on or worry about when it comes to insurance or picking the type of insurance you're getting is the rating of the insurance, right? Are you an A-rated provider, which means that, oh, it's going to be very, very easy booking those loads? Or are you something like a risk retention group, also known as RRG, where it's going to be a challenge booking loads? And before an A...
Now, that's a good point. Progressive is an A-rated insurance company. OIDA is a risk retention group. That's not an insurance company like Progressive. It's kind of like a co-op where they all get together and they put money into there. They don't fall under the same guidelines as a licensed insurance company. Okay? So a risk retention group is usually cheaper, to be completely honest, but you're not getting the same criteria as a insurance company has to maintain.
Rated company would be, it was assumed that this is a company that really cares about who they are writing these policies for, and risk retention groups were there for high risk carriers. But
no, they weren't there for high risk carriers per se. That's not true. They're normally cheaper because they're not the same as an insurance company. They don't fall under the same guidelines as an insurance company must maintain. They're different. Like I said, they're a co-op. OIDA is a risk retention group. I will not work with a risk retention group with the freight brokerage that I had. Landstar had a big lawsuit with OIDA at one point, and they wouldn't work with OIDA, the risk retention group.
But it is not the case anymore because now we can have an A-rated insurance company, huge, but it's performing zero checks on the carriers they're writing policies for. They literally.
That's not true. That is not true. That is a not true statement. It is not that they're not so when somebody says they're performing zero checks, that would mean no checks. That is not true. Okay? When I go to fill out, and I'd love to, if she would like to have a conversation with me, I'd love to come on, or she can come on my show, I can go on her show, however she wants to do this, to explain this. And I can show her. When I'll go to search a carrier, and I will put into Progressive, into Geico, into these agencies, I will put the DOT number into Progressive, into Geico, into these companies. They will tell me if they are eligible or not. It will say, because of this, they're not eligible. They don't meet the standards that Geico or Progressive require to get insurance. They are doing these checks 100%. Because there are carriers that come to me, and when I check eligibility through all of my markets, which these markets include Geico, Progressive, and others, they will say not eligible. And then I have to tell them, sorry, I have no markets for you. So when she says that they perform zero checks, that's just not true. And if she's welcome to reach out to me, and I will bring her onto the it doesn't have to be live, but I will bring her into a call and I will show her that they do run checks. And then what will happen is they'll say, their CSA scores or other reasons because of using a virtual address. Now, here's what's happening. Here's what's happening that she might not know. And I want to make sure everybody here that's watched this knows, okay? Again, Progressive will take your money for your down payment. Geico will take the money for the down payment if you go directly to them. That's why you should go to an agent, because trust me, it's worth it. Have an agent there for you. But they will go, and then 30 days later, 60 days later, an underwriter will look at that policy. And if you're using a virtual address and they catch you, they are going to cancel your policy and ban you for up to 1 to 2 years. You will be banned from using Progressive. Your DOT number will be banned. Gone. And you can't just go get another DOT number, because one of the questions I'm going to ask, or I'm going to look for, is, have you ever had a DOT ever? Have you ever had one in the past, before? And if you say no, I'm still going to look up your address, your phone number, different things. And if I find it, I'm going to say, well, you have. It's this one. I have to submit this. I have to put this in. I have to do this. So yes, checks are still being made by Progressive and Geico.
Only care about, are you willing to pay? So here's an observation.
No, they're not caring, are you willing to pay? They're basically saying, hey, we're doing these checks. Like I said, when I run them, if I'll go to Progressive, and this happens too if you go directly to Progressive, right? You call Progressive, you be like, hey, what's your DOT number? You put the DOT number, they're like, sorry, you're not eligible. They're not eligible. So when she says zero checks, I want to correct her on that. Now, could there be more checks? Of course it could. Of course it could. Again, I'm not blaming her for this. I believe she does not know, because she's not a licensed insurance agent doing this job. And she probably has not done any follow-up to find out how this process works, which is okay, but you kind of want to do that before you make a blanket statements like zero checks.
I have made. When I have free time and I am doing my research through search carriers, looking up carriers and seeing what the operations are like, is there any shadiness going on? It never fails. Those with the most questionable operations are usually insured by one of three companies. Number one is Geico, number two is Progressive, and number three is United Financial Casualty Company, which is part of Progressive.
Yeah, that's a part of Progressive. So when you get insurance through Progressive, it might say a various of small other companies that technically is also Progressive, because Progressive bought a lot of these companies, but they still use those names. So that's still Progressive. So that's Progressive, Geico. Okay. Now, some of the things that are happening is that other carriers that like a Great West, a Canal, and other ones, they just won't insure you until one, you've got 2 years experience, sometimes 3 years, experience, things like that. Not you as a driver, but your carrier, your actual, your MC number has 2 or 3 years. So that's one of the reasons that she's seeing more of these carriers that are under Progressive and Geico, because those are more of the ones that will take the risk of even insuring a new carrier.
Actually, according to Rob Carpenter, who found pretty much the same pattern, Geico's commercial truck program, which is backed by Berkshire Hathaway, is explicitly designed just for the little guy, motor carriers and owner-operators. They're advertising quick purchase options, credit card payments, and what they call an innovative quoting system that delivers an instant price and coverage within minutes. No risk control review, no underwriter putting their hands on the file before issuance. Just self-attestation, payment, and a policy. By the way, it's...
Now, again, that's how they'll run the credit check. That's the first thing. And you're going to run, they're going to run, and I'm going to say, okay, here's the quote. They're going to run that quote and things like that. Now, that's the first wave of inspections. I'm telling you right now, an underwriter will 100% check that file. They just will. It's going to happen. An underwriter is going to, like I said, it could be 30 days, could be 60 days, but an underwriter is going to check it. And then this is why if you get any type of snail mail from your insurance company, you better open it. Because it could say, hey, we found an additional truck that you didn't tell us about, and you have to add that to your policy. Hey, you need to prove your garaging address, because the address that we have is a virtual address, and you can't park a truck there. Hey, there's an additional driver that you didn't add, that person has to be. These are things that they will basically say, if you don't reply back to this within so many days, we're going to cancel you. And if they cancel you, they're going to ban you.
It's the same exact thing with Progressive. Those of you who have or had Progressive insurance probably know that you don't even need an insurance agent in order to get Progressive insurance. All you do is you go online, you fill out some basic information about you and your operations, your DOT number, your location, your radius of operation, and bam, you have a quote. No checks, nothing. It happens in less than 2 minutes.
False. There are checks being done. Now, it might seem like there aren't checks being done because AI, API, and all this stuff can be quite quick. But like I'm telling you, also, you don't need an agent to go to these. Now, I suggest using an agent because that agent is going to be kind of your middle person to be able to explain different policies, help you out when things go awry. You're hiring, when I sell insurance, my goal as a licensed insurance agent is to basically bring enough value in my knowledge in the industry, both insurance and in trucking, that you're not just paying for the insurance policy, but you're also paying for, you're hiring me, right? And I want to bring enough value to get hired by you. So the insurance company is technically paying my fee. They're paying us. You're not paying us. But I want to be able to bring enough knowledge in the industry, enough continuing knowledge, anything from, trucking knowledge, broker knowledge, compliance knowledge, telling people how to fix your numbers when things go awry. Hey, you just drove through a scale house and you got a bunch of warnings and now it's showing up on your CSA scores. How do you get those taken off? I'm the guy that you would call as your insurance agent that I would say, hey, this might affect your insurance. We better go and try to get these removed. Let me send you this video. Let me send you this link on how you can get your compliance better and get them removed from your CSA scores, things like that. So it's kind of best to have an agent, but you don't have to have one. Now, are there checks being made when you don't have one? Yes, 100%. 100% they're being made. Now, the checks that are going to be made later on from an underwriter, like Progressive and these companies hired lots of underwriters, thousands of underwriters to basically come in and verify the information that you put in there. Okay? Just saying.
So basically, the only real barrier that exists.
And the reason I'm doing this video is I don't want people coming into the industry or buying a truck thinking, oh, I'm fine. I have no problem. She said that they don't do any checks. I'll figure it out. No, they do. They do checks. So they're 100% going to do checks on you. They're going to check your address. They're going to check your license. They're going to run your credit. They're going to check your MVR. They're going to check your DOT. They're going to check these things.
Listed is gone. Now I'm going to move over here so you can see all my beautiful filaments.
That's beautiful.
Just kidding. No, I'm moving over here because I want to show you a couple of examples of what I have found when searching through search carriers. And we're going to focus on Geico because if I show you Geico, Progressive, and United Financial, it's just going to be a very long video. So let's just focus on.
Now, again, unfortunately, you could kind of cherry pick these and say, but there are lots of carriers that are out there that are using other insurance companies and things like that that are also getting bad CSA scores. Now, what I do want to say is, as an insurance agent and a freight broker, both right now, is if you are not looking at your compliance, you will not succeed. I have legitimately started to do research, and I can see that when you have 1 to 5 trucks or less, most of those people don't care about compliance. They just don't care. Yeah, like if I say, who's your compliance person? Who's handling this? How do you, are you checking this? Are you checking this when it comes to your CSA scores? Do you know how to do this? Most of them be like, no, oh, not really. What I don't see is once you break that 5 truck and you go 5 to whatever, those people, a big change in their mindset is they do care about their compliance. They 100% do. And because they realize that compliance, CSA scores, showing that they're a good carrier, when you start to become that carrier, the customers that you're working with give a crap. They care. Like my customer cares. My freight, I care. If you have bad CSA scores, you're not getting my freight. It's just not going to happen. I'm going to skip you. Bye. Doesn't matter. And because that is when you start to really step into the big leagues, when you start to step into the higher paying freight, more money and things like that, you're going to run into these type of things.
Geico. Here we have carrier 1. As you can see, you will see that they are insured by Geico here. You will see that there is an ELP out of service history, but if you take a look at the out of service rates, driver out of service 25%, vehicle out of service 40%. I usually don't pay as much attention to the vehicle out of service rate just because I understand the financial pressures.
That's kind of weird. Like to me, I look at both. As a freight broker, she might not look at that, but we look at both. And let me explain why she might not, and I don't know, maybe just for fraud purposes, because I don't think she's a freight broker. As a freight broker, just so be advised, I am looking at your vehicle out of services. Now, she's going to explain why she doesn't, and I'm going to explain why I do.
History, but if you take a look at the out of service rates, driver out of service 25%, vehicle out of service 40%. I usually don't pay as much attention to the vehicle out of service rate just because I understand the financial pressures. Right now, people just don't have the money to constantly, keep their trucks in tip-top shape, although you really, really should, but I understand it more than a driver out of.
Okay. She's not saying that she doesn't. She says that you should, which I'm not blanket statement and saying that you shouldn't. But as a freight broker, one of the things, I am 100% looking at that also. If you can't keep your truck in good shape and you're getting repetitive tickets for the same thing, I am not going to load you. It's just not going to happen. Because you're now telling me you don't have enough money to stay in business. Okay? You are running out, like even she says it. People just don't have the money. Well, if you don't have the money to keep your equipment up to par, how do I know that you're not going to blow 2 tires, which is very common because, when one tire blows, it hits the other tire. And next thing you know, you lose the duals. Blow 2 tires, and now you have a $2,000 side of the road bill that you can't afford, and my freight is on your back. Now what? How do I get my freight delivered? You can't afford $2,000 because you don't have any money, and I can't get my freight delivered. So as a freight broker, when I'm looking at your CSA scores, I'm looking to see what type of tickets you're getting, and are they repetitive? And are they things that basically, hey, this should be a simple DOT type stuff? Like, what is going on here, right? So as a driver, I might not look at, to me, the equipment is a big factor. As a driver, if it's something like, well, he didn't have his instruction manual for his ELD in there, I don't care, to be completely honest, right? Who cares about that? Google it, right? But I'm just letting you know.
service. Let's put it that way. Now let's take a look at some inspections here. So we have two inspections here. The one from January 13th, they have an out-of-service order for English language proficiency. But what is more concerning...
Okay, so basically whoever... Now remember, Geico insured the carrier, and then the carrier gave a list of drivers. They gave a list of drivers. So it's the carrier's job to basically make sure that they speak English. Now, unfortunately, it's hard, and maybe that's why she passed over it. It's hard to know, like if somebody doesn't speak English at all, that's kind of easy. But if a police officer says, well, I don't think you speak enough English, or it's very open to interpretation, right? So that's kind of very difficult one to kind of use as a reference for an insurance company to, not give you coverage because the driver that you just hired, I'm not sure how that one would be something that an insurance company could measure at this moment.
Is the out-of-service order that they received on January 12th, the day before, right? It's not the same truck, at least I don't believe it is, but nevertheless, one of their trucks received an out-of-service order for the following reason: driving a commercial motor vehicle while CDL is suspended for a safety-related or unknown reason in the state of driver's license issuance. All right.
Okay, now, let me back that up. And here's the problem with these.
January language proficiency, but
Okay.
What is more concerning is the out-of-service order that they received on January 12th, the day before, right? It's not the same truck, at least I don't believe it is.
So it's not the same truck, January 12th.
That they received on January 12th, the day
January 12th, 2026. Now, they had insurance, but this is on January 12th, 2026, which is only 8 days ago?
before, right? It's not the same truck, at least I don't believe it is, but nevertheless, one of their trucks received an out-of-service order for the following reason: driving a commercial motor vehicle while CDL is suspended for a safety-related or unknown reason in the state of driver's license issuance. All right.
Okay, so that was weird. That's weird that she covered that one, because basically that was January 12th of 2026. It is now February, it is now January 23rd. So she just pulled that one. They got that in Memphis. Now, so she's now remember, she's poking that insurance companies aren't doing their due diligence while hiring these carriers. Now, what was the ticket that the person got?
Their trucks received an out-of-service order for the following reason: driving a commercial motor vehicle while CDL is suspended for a safety-related or unknown reason in the state of driver's license issuance.
Okay, they could have not had their medical card. There could have been reasons why, oh crap, my license is suspended. I had a long time ago, I had my license suspended for something that was like stupid. I can't remember what it was. It was something that it was like long time ago. Like I think when I was like 20 years old, 21 years old, I'm 50 now. So it was suspended technically for, I can't remember what it was. I'm gonna have to go back and look. But it was something that like, holy crap, you suspended my license for that? Yes. Okay, here's the fix. And I immediately fixed it and it was done. So a safety-related or unknown thing could be lots of things, right? Could be lots of things that easily can be corrected. Now, the problem is that she started this conversation here basically saying, hey, insurance companies are not doing they're not doing their checks. So my question to her would be, do you expect an insurance company to cancel a policy for something that happened 8 days ago? And how long do you think it takes for one, that to hit the CSA scores, two, for the insurance companies to start to see this stuff and start to notice it, and three, start the cancellation process for one event. The other one was the English language one. This one is one event. So if you're going to bring up one event, I would ask her, should we start canceling people's insurance when they get one out of service? Is that one out of service? Should we start canceling people's insurance? Because when you get an insurance cancellation, that's a big deal. It's going to go on your record. So my question to her would have been, okay, good point that I see that's on there. We don't know what that ticket was for. We don't know why that ticket was issued, what caused the suspension. Shoot, it could be child support. Unknown reason, or safety or unknown reason, by the state. I think it was state. Hang on. Hang on.
One of their trucks received an out-of-service order for the following reason: driving a commercial motor vehicle while CDL is suspended for a safety-related or unknown reason in the state of driver's license issuance.
Now, yeah, so in the state, they could have had, in the state, it is suspended in the state, that could be child support. Now, oh, just so you know, child support goes on your insurance record. That'll go on your. I have had people have child support issues when I run their MVR, and I can see those, just so you know. That could be child support. Don't know, right? I don't know. It's a state issue in the state. So unknown reason and in state of driver's license issued. Okay. So could be a ticket he didn't pay. Could be parking tickets. Could be, who knows? I don't know. But, so my question to you would have been to her would have been, are we canceling somebody's insurance for that one ticket that happened 8 days ago? And how fast do you think cancellations should happen and do happen? Right? And look, I'm not attacking her at all. I'm literally just saying, I think there's a lot that you don't know about the insurance aspect of things in regards to what's going on. Now, does she do her due diligence in looking up fraud and stuff like that? Yes, but we can't just look at it in a tunnel vision aspect of things, right? Because there's a lot of other things that are going on. Insurance canceling you the minute you get one ticket would probably be a bad idea. It would be a bad idea for a lot of carriers. Insurance looking, doing more underwriting, overseeing the industry more, and looking for fraud and safety measures and stuff like that. Good idea. Good idea. And I do believe that it starts with the insurance agent, someone like me, and asking the questions, and not because there are not all insurance agents are the same. They're just not. There are bad insurance agents out there, to be completely honest. And there are some that ride the lines of of insurance that make things happen. I'm not. Who I work for is not. But sometimes that if I have to lose business to do that, well, then I lose business.
All right, this is one of them. Now, this is a better carrier than the next one I'm going.
Okay, perfect. And that was a better carrier. And it's great that she brought that up. But in my opinion, is that one should never even been brought up. That one should have been thrown out. Because you can't take one incident and say, bad insurance, they should have never insured this person, or they should cancel them right now.
Going to show you. So here we have carrier number 2. You can see that they are also insured by Geico. You can see that their vehicle out of service rate is below the average, but their driver out of service rate.
Now, I don't know what I'm not seeing. Oh God, I'm getting old, 50 years old. Son of a, shut up, Justin. What it's not showing to me is how many trucks they have. So here's the problem with the CSA scores also, okay? If you have one truck and you get one out of service for something like brakes out of adjustment, and you climb underneath the truck, and it brakes out of adjustment is a common thing because your brakes should have been an adjustment a mile ago, and then now they're out of adjustment. It just brake adjusters sometimes don't work. So you're out of service. You have one truck and you've only had one inspection. You now have a 100% out of service rating. Because you only have one truck and you've only had one inspection. And the one inspection you've had, well, guess what? You were put out of service. Now, if you get another inspection, or you have another truck and that truck gets another inspection, now that drops down to 50%. So that's why when we look at out of services, we can't just look at, okay, what happened here? We have to say, okay, I'm sorry, we can't just look at the number and say you're good. We have to look at what happened here. Okay, what happened? And this is public information. I can go on public information. I can look what the ticket was. I can ask, again, as a freight broker, compliance, if you want my freight, which is good paying freight, which is good paying money, you better have a better compliance. You better be working with somebody that knows compliance and understands it and improves that. And look, if you don't have that, reach out to me because that's something we're going to be doing. That's something we're going to be doing. All right.
Is almost at 67%.
So this is almost at 67%. I don't know how many trucks they have, and I don't know how many inspections they've had. So that comes into factor.
Now let's take a look at the inspections. Inspection from January 9th of 2026.
January 9th of 2026. Okay.
A person required to have a CDL who is disqualified must not drive a commercial motor vehicle.
Now I have no idea what that is. Person required to have a CDL who is disqualified must not have a CDL. I have no idea what that is.
Two of the same out of service
Two of the same out of service orders. That's probably a duplicate. That probably doubled.
orders. I think it's just duplicating.
Yeah, that probably duplicated in the system.
Next, inspection from January 6th. ELP violation.
Hang on, what was the date on that one?
I think it's just
Hang on.
must not drive. From January 9th of 2026.
All right, January 9th of 2026.
Person required to have a CDL who is disqualified must not drive a commercial motor vehicle. There are two of the same out of service orders. I think it's just duplicating. Next, inspection from January 6th. ELP violation. We have an inspection from December 12th.
Okay, December 12th. So now we're going back to 2025.
License. Operating a CMV and does not possess a valid CDL. All right, let's keep.
Okay, hang on. So understand this. Understand this. So she's kind of picking some.
Duplicating. Next, inspection from January 6th. ELP violation.
Okay, somebody in the truck doesn't speak good enough English. Again, that's open for interpretation. Unfortunately, I wish we had a set standard, but it's open for interpretation. Do I believe you should speak English? Yeah, I believe you should be able to speak English. Now, I have said this before a lot of times, and people will argue with me. Do I believe that that's the only thing? No, because I used to drive from Buffalo, New York, up into Quebec, and from Quebec back down to Buffalo, New York, when I first started driving with Schneider. And I did it all the way. I went all the way into Quebec, and I never had an accident, and I never had a problem. Now, some of you might be saying, well, yeah, who cares? Well, Quebec is in French, and I don't speak French. So I technically didn't speak French, and a lot of 90% of their signs are in French. Everybody speaks French. They don't like speaking English. So, but I still got it done. Now, I got it done because I had better training. I made sure before I went in there, I trip planned to make sure I knew exactly where I was going. I knew exactly how many streets I was going to, and all this. Oh, hang on. What's going on here? So that was one thing that I definitely did. Open. Hang on. Stand by on one here. I'm getting messages here. Do I know this guy? Written by Bill Hood. I don't know. I know lots of guys. I'll have to look at that in a minute. Anyways, so I did do that. Do I believe we should be doing more English? Yes, 100%. 100%. We should be able to do this because it's going to make things easier, safer. Communication's a big factor. All my people anybody I hire has to be able to speak English because they have to be able to read permits. So I usually don't run into that problem, to be honest, if ever, to be completely honest. Now, some of the legal freight, they don't have to, but some of my guys that do the oversized, they have legal freight. They haul my legal freight too. So I'm using the same guys. Not so much of a problem.
We have an inspection from December 12th. License. Operating a CMV and does not possess a valid CDL.
Hang on. Operating a commercial motor vehicle and does not possess a valid CDL. Now, one of the things people don't understand is that could be the medical card is now expired. And I had a conversation with a truck driver because this exact same thing was on his license. And he's like, I have never, ever, ever had my license not be valid. And I'm like, what about your medical card? He's like, yeah, that one expired. I missed the date, and that one expired, and I was like a month over. Now, when you don't have a medical card, and you are crossing state lines, and you're driving a truck, and you're doing all this, when your medical card goes, it's done, it's expired, you are no longer have a valid CDL according to the law enforcement officer, according to the law. Because your CDL is attached to the medical card. No medical card, no valid CDL. Okay? Because you're not driving locally, you're not within 25 miles, you're out there running the road, you're doing your thing, you're out there, so that means you're too far to be driving a truck you have to have a medical card. So they're going to write you for not having a valid CDL because your CDL is no longer valid. So that valid CDL could be the expiration date was up on the license. Anybody could miss that date, to be honest. It could have been the medical card was past due a week or 2 or 3 or 4 or no medical card. That's possible. These are things that happen with CDL licenses. Are they bad? No, not always. Because, oh crap, that my medical card was due last week and I missed it. Damn it. Now, technically you're doing without a license, but it's probably not something that, is going to end the world for that type of situation. You could eat a ticket, and you shouldn't be doing it, and if you get caught, you're going to get popped. But again, that is a week of missing your DOT physical, and you just go find a physical. You can do it on the road. You get a physical, you're back up and running again. You're good to go. That is something that, again, she is picking something. She is picking and saying that insurance companies are not doing their job while going back 2 months. Going back 1 or 2 months and pulling these records. I know, I can hear you. You can hear me yelling? That's my kitten. Did you guys all hit my kitten? I have a Maine Coon kitten. Right? What do you think? Exactly. She says nothing. All right. So, although I understand that these violations are bad and we need to maintain good safety and stuff like that, she started this out by saying that these insurance companies are so bad that they're insuring horrible carriers. But these tickets are common tickets that are out there in the industry that happen. And if we're going to start canceling people for this, a lot of truck drivers, I'm talking a lot of truck drivers are never going to get their authority. They're never going to get insurance.
All right, let's keep going. December 9th, 2025. And
December 9th, 2025. Now, remember, we're only covering 2 months. 2 months. So again, my question to her would be, how long, legitimately, and I'm being legitimate here, and she's welcome to reach out to me, and they most likely they won't, because they feel like I'm attacking them. I'm really not attacking them, but what I want to try to prevent is blanket statements that are being stated, because we have to be careful what we ask for, because when we start to ask for these things to be changed like this, knee-jerk reactions will kick a lot of people out of the industry. And we don't want that. We don't want that. Okay.
another ELP violation.
Another ELP violation. Again, that's another one. That's an interpretation thing. Now, if they speak none, that's none. But that's very difficult for you to be canceled as an insurance agent. Canceled your insurance as a carrier, because that is something that, one, is just starting to be reinforced, and it's a fine line in regards. Oh, hang on. Yeah. Hang on. I got to connect the picture. Yes, I'm still live. TikTok was wanting to ask me okay, I saved it. TikTok, I will not be shut down. I had to prove that I was still here. Okay. I don't know. They can see me. How do you not know I'm here? Again, do I believe that we should be canceling insurance for that right now for in regards to carriers? No, I shouldn't, because it's going to open for lawsuit, because we don't know the extent of the English that they did speak to that they didn't speak and things like that. I believe that right now we should allow law enforcement to continue to put carriers out of service and do stuff like that because that right there of shutting down the truck should be the first steps in regards to forcing carriers to correct this practice. I don't believe it should be canceling your insurance immediately when you get that ticket. Now, I know she might think differently, and that's open for discussion and debate, but I'd gladly have a discourse with any of the people that are in this side of the industry that are doing these checks.
Right here. And then we have November 30th of 2025. Basically, whatever they have been getting out of service orders in January and December in November, they got both of them in one inspection.
Again, these are, so the tickets that she has picked has been, 1, the driver's license, which I can explain what that could have been. 2, have all been the English proficiency. They've all been the English proficiency. So you're not going to see a lot of, so when you say that insurance companies aren't doing any type of due diligence or aren't doing any type of checks and things like that, you can't go back 2 months. You can't go back 2 months and say, see, because you have no idea if the insurance company has started this procedure, sent them any type of, because remember, insurance contracts we have state guidelines that we have to abide by. Now, a risk retention group might not, but I have state guidelines that I have to abide by. and insurance company policies that have to be followed in regards to insurance, right? In regards to these procedures. There are FMCSA laws that the insurance companies also have to follow in regards to maintaining insurance, even though cancellation is coming, things like that.
ELP and the fact that this person was operating without a CDL. So that is who Geico is insuring.
No, that is not That is not who Geico is insuring. Again, like I said, no, don't allow. What's going on? Why does TikTok need access to all my stuff? Again, that's a blanket statement that these events happened 6 days ago. 6 days ago, these events happened. And again, if you wanted to start writing, I can pull a bunch of carriers, endless amounts of carriers. Like, I will take a day and I will just pull carriers, FMCSA scores on carriers that I know are good carriers. And you are now going to do a knee-jerk reaction to have insurance companies not insure them. Well, good luck. You might as well just stick with the megas.
Now, considering all of this, the question that I had that I was kind of grappling with in my mind was, well, are risk retention groups, can they be kind of considered questionable insurance companies based on who they insure? And I came to the
They're not an insurance company. A risk retention group is a risk retention group.
Realization that no, an RRG is not as questionable as Geico, for example, and I'll explain what I mean. A risk retention group exists for a specific purpose.
No.
In order to insure high-risk carriers.
No, that's not true. She's wrong. And unfortunately, she doesn't understand, and that's okay. But that's not true. A risk retention group like OWIDA will always be cheaper than an insurance. Not always. 9 times out of 10 will be cheaper because they're not an insurance company. They're a risk retention group. A risk retention group, like I said, does not fall under the same guidelines as a licensed insurance company like a Progressive. They do not have to pay because they're a co-op. They're a co-op that has placed money in to be able and to be able to insure or cover your costs. They're not the same thing. So a lot of times they're cheaper. They're cheaper than insurance companies.
It exists to provide coverage for those who cannot get it anywhere else. And that's part of the reason people stay away from risk retention groups. Number one, it's the fact that there is a high possibility that an RRG is not going to pay out a claim. And number two, it's the
And that's because they don't fall under the same guidelines as an insurance company.
fact that, like brokers, for example, they know right away that, hey, if this person has an RRG insurance, that means that there is some sort of safety issue.
No, that's not true. That's not true. I don't look as an RRG and say they got that because there's some type of safety issue. I'm looking at that saying, well, that was probably the cheaper. They're going to be cheaper to get insurance. Like my insurance for, let's say Progressive might be $20,000 and RRG might be $16,000. Okay, for the same carrier. So it's not that they had a worse record. They just, their criteria and how they determine what they're going to do for insurance is different, and it's probably cheaper. So as a freight broker, I'm not looking at them saying they probably have a problem. I'm looking at their insurance saying, I don't want their insurance. I don't care. They could have a perfect record. They could have a 100% perfect record and still go with a risk retention group because it's cheaper and they don't want to pay the money. But I, as a freight broker, am looking at that saying, I don't want your insurance because your insurance is not a state-regulated insurance like a Progressive or a CoverWell or a Geico or a Great West or a Canal. They're just not.
There. Basically, when you look at a carrier and you see that they are insured by an RRG, you kind of already assume that, yeah, there was something there, and that's why they had to go the risk retention group route.
No. That's an incorrect statement. Again, it's just because she does not know, right? She doesn't know. She's kind of giving insurance information from her point of view without being a licensed insurance agent, to be honest. So she probably should have reached out to somebody and said, I have questions, or would you go over this with me, or can you explain this? And she just didn't. She just didn't.
Carpenter says, the existence of subprime insurance isn't the problem. Someone has to cover high-risk operations. The problem is that the wall between subprime and standard coverage has essentially disappeared. When anyone can get an instant issue coverage without verification, the entire market drifts towards lower standards.
There is verification. I'm telling you right now, there is verification. Geico and Progressive, I'm just using those two because those are the two she used, I have to verify you are eligible per their requirements before I can quote the insurance. And there are times I will put somebody in there and it will show up as not eligible. Not eligible because of this, this, and this. Not eligible because of their safety scores are not up to standards. Not eligible. Geico and Progressive will both give me those messages when I run markets. They'll both give me those when I run markets. So for her to say that they don't is an incorrect statement. That's incorrect. Right? And it's I believe it's incorrect because she doesn't know. And if Rob Carpenter's saying the same thing, Rob's also wrong. He's also wrong. For anybody to say that they don't run any checks on you is just incorrect.
Now, what bothers me specifically about insurance like Geico, which is A-rated, or Progressive, which is A-rated, huge companies as well, about them not doing any background checks, it all goes back to those chameleon carriers.
Again, they do background checks. They run your MVR, they run your credit, they run your safety score, they look at all this stuff, and they determine if you are eligible for their market.
These folks who keep shutting down and reopening their authorities, they are not stupid, right? They have figured out that there are insurance companies that look great on paper. And unless you start digging, you actually don't know that they're not doing any checks. They have figured out that these companies,
Again, she keeps saying they don't do any checks. She's wrong. She's wrong. And what she is putting out is disinformation. She's putting out statements that are not true. Because of either she knows it's not true, which I don't know that, or she hasn't take the time to do the research to find out from somebody who does know. She's assuming and then putting this out, maybe for clickbait. I don't know.
will take on pretty much anybody. So it is very easy for them to keep shutting down and reopen.
They will not take it on anybody.
And I'm going to quote this here. A trucking company causes a catastrophic crash, for example. Their minimum coverage, if it's even valid, can't come close to compensating the victims. Instead of facing consequences, the owner folds the company, walks away from the judgment, and reopens under a new name with a new DOT number and a new instant issue policy, often from the same insurers who covered them before. And this is because...
Wrong. So, one of the things I'm required to do is ask the carrier or the customer, however you want to put this, have you ever had a DOT before? And they're going to some will say yes. And I'll be like, what was your DOT? I don't remember. Hang on, I'll find it. And I have tools that I can then go in and put their name in, put their address in, put their phone number, put something in, and it will go back and it will find your DOT number. I will then take that DOT number and I will check eligibility from that DOT number to see if you are eligible for Progressive or Geico. Progressive or Geico might say negative Ghost Rider. They are not eligible because of that DOT number that they had before. Not eligible. And then I will say, sorry, sir or madam, I don't have any markets available to you. But I'm not running that DOT anymore. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Or somebody will say, nope, never had one. It's like Shawshank Redemption. Everybody's innocent. What'd you do? Nothing. I'm innocent. Everybody in jails is innocent. Okay. I will then say, okay, and I then technically have to go in, type their name into some software that we have, and I will basically see if any DOT pops up under your name, from your address, from your phone number, from the company name, anything at all. And if it's out there, it will be found. It will be found. I don't care who you are, it will be found. Once I find that, I say, well, wait a minute. You have a DOT here that was revoked that had, right here. Is this not you? Oh, yeah, but that's 5 years old. Doesn't matter. No, that's not me. Really? It's under your name. Well, it's at your address. Well, and it's attached to your phone number. No, that's not me. Sort of like when my driver hit the bridge and we had a video of him hitting a bridge and he still said it wasn't him. Nope, that's not me. Okay. So at that point, I'm going to put that DOT number in, and if it comes back denied, as in not eligible, that's the exact word they use, I can't write you insurance. So when she says there's no checks, there are checks.
Because those insurance companies, again, we're talking about Geico and Progressive here mostly, they do not do any background check. They just give out this.
Bullshit! That's a lie. And I'm going to do a short about that. That is not true. When you tell someone they don't do any checks, that means they don't do any checks. But we are doing checks. You put in your DOT number. I search it. I check if it's eligible. It might say no. I get a lot of no's. We check your MVR. Do you have any tickets? Do you have any records? Do you have any of this? We check your credit score. Yes, there's checks. I have no idea what she's talking about. I'm a licensed insurance agent. I did this morning. I am punched out now to do this show, and I will be going back to this job when this show is over. I am literally going to be running checks on DOT numbers to see with Progressive, with Geico, if they're eligible, plus others. Yes, there's checks. Hello, lady.
Coverage if you have the money to pay, and chameleon carriers can operate as if nothing ever happened.
No, they can't. They can. If they do, they're lying. They're committing fraud. They're misrepresenting. Justin. Misrepresenting. I hate you, Justin. Anyways, you guys know the word. The information to me, and they can't do that. You can't present me. You can't lie to me, your insurance agent. You cannot knowingly lie to me when presenting me your information. Can't do it. Now, because my job is not just to protect, my job is to protect the insurance company, protect my company, and protect you.
Let's be realistic here.
Let's be realistic here, please. And I can't remember her name. Trucking Made Successful. Please reach out to me. Now, I get it, you won't. I get it, you won't, because I just have that way in this industry. Most logistical people don't reach out to me, and that's fine. Please reach out to somebody in the insurance industry and have them show you the checks that are being done to show you that when you keep saying 0, no, none, that's not true. That's not true.
Insurance companies were kind of like the gatekeepers when it comes to getting into the trucking industry. And if insurance companies were, let's say tomorrow, to say that from now on, any carrier that is applying for a policy with our insurance company is going to go through an extensive background check.
They do. That's why they have underwriters. So even if you go on and fill it out yourself, it could tell you you're denied. But even if you fill it out, you pay your down payment, and you put the information that you put in there, an underwriter is going to check that information. And in a month or two or whatever, they're going to call you and they're going to say, we don't believe you that this is your address. You are going to have to prove that this is where you garage the truck. You are going to have to prove that this is legitimately your truck and that. You're going to have to prove that, hey, we found... You want to know another one? Let me tell you another one they run a check on. You say you have one truck, but you have 3 other trucks that is registered under your name, under your business, or at the address, or at phone number. Some other way, an underwriter searches truck registers, and they find out that you have 3 other trucks registered to your business. But you say, well, yeah, but those trucks are broke down. They don't care. All trucks owned, it's called a CUV. All trucks owned and operated must be on the policy. If they find a truck that is registered under you that is not on the policy, they're going to send you a mail. They're going to send you a snail mail. And you're going to open it up and you're like, 4 several years ago. No, wrong one. They're going to open it up and it's going to say, you must place your truck on the insurance policy or be canceled. And if you don't, you'll be banned for a year from Progressive. And please be advised, insurance companies talk to each other.
for a lack of a better word, chameleon carriers would just not exist in the numbers they do right now. And the funny thing is, it is so easy to find chameleon carriers. It literally takes just 10 minutes of focused searching to find out that a certain carrier is connected to 5, 10, 50 other companies. And then when you start digging a little further,
let's be completely honest. I'm going to be completely honest now. Insurance companies are not doing this, but this would be me. Okay? This would be me. If I were to insure companies, just so you know, and you wanted to be a chameleon carrier, and you wanted to pay me $2,000 and a month later I can cancel you and then ban you for a year or two, I'm going to take your money. Why not? If you're stupid enough to give me $2,000 and then next thing you know I find that you have 2 other carriers, I'll take your $2,000 just to cancel you a month later. But that's just me. Now, insurance companies don't want to do that, but I would. Okay, I'll take your money to cancel you next month. Have at it. Have at it. Now, remember, it's easy for you to find chameleon carriers, but understand that there are insurance companies are legally bound to follow certain procedures in regards to state and federal guidelines on how they handle things. So an insurance company can't just say do what they want. They are bound by state regulations and federal regulations and FMCSA regulations. So although I understand you think that it just functions like the Wild Wild West, it doesn't. It doesn't. It would be better if it did, but because if an insurance company cancels you, they have to give you notice. They have to give you an additional time frame in regards to how long you still have insurance for and how long they have to maintain coverage on you. They still have to do that. They can't cancel you today and then you have no insurance tomorrow. They can't do that, according to law. There's the problem.
you can see the history and the timeline of how this company got into this kind of crash and then shut down, and a day later this.
I'm going to turn the phones on. Trucking related questions only. Sonia? Where's Sonia? Sonia in here? Has anybody seen Sonia? I don't know if I've
His number 856-600-4654. Sage Outcast.
Okay, thanks, Sonia. She is in here. Thank God for Sonia.
Company got their insurance. It's just so simple. It seems like the problem stems from the fact that some folks in this industry, they just don't want to dig. Or as Mr. Tab.
No, it's not that they don't want to dig. They will dig. Let me tell you something right now. If you think an insurance company won't find it within a month or two, you're wrong.
Teacha said yesterday in a meeting that
I literally run your MVR back 5 years. And I find stuff that people are like, no, that's not mine. Sure is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now I remember. Yeah. We'll find it.
were in, they don't know how to read the data. And he said something very interesting. I will be making a video on this. There might be a carrier who looks on paper as if, oh my goodness, it's a red flag. It's so bad. This is an unsafe carrier. And in reality, they are not. And then there might be a carrier, usually a chameleon carrier, that looks fantastic on paper. But when you start digging for 10 minutes, you realize that this is a carrier that is unsafe. Basically, we need.
True. That's very true. And insurance companies are now, I want you to take, if you don't take anything away from this, understand that if insurance companies catches you committing any of these fraudulent activities in regards to lying to them, if they catch you using a virtual address, a fake garaging location, if they catch you not putting drivers on the policy that are driving the trucks that are not on the policy that you're driving, if they catch you, you will be banned for 1 year. And then someone like me, you're going to call up and you're going to try to get another DOT, and I'm going to ask you, have you ever had other DOTs? Nope. And I'm going to search it, and I'm going to find it. And I'm like, yes, you did. Here it is right here. I got to put that DOT number in. No, you don't. No, you don't have to do that. This one's new. It doesn't matter. I'm required by the insurance companies, if I find this DOT number, that I have to put it in. Now, I have to do my best to do it. I mean, if I miss it, I miss it, right? I mean, that just happens. But this is kind of the route that this goes.
An overhaul and a lot of education when it comes to the trucking industry. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to share this with you, and I hope you learned something new. Wishing you a fantastic rest of your day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep learning.
Okay.
Hey, guys, welcome back to another.
That is Trucking Made Successful. Like I said, she blew up covering this stuff. I don't believe she did this maliciously, to be completely honest. I believe she did this. She wanted to make a video. She wanted to get it out there. She thought she found something. She didn't really have anybody in the insurance industry to reach out She's making blanket statements because that does get views. That does fuel emotions, but it doesn't deal with facts. I, unfortunately, am the third wave, which basically nobody cares about because I at least bring the facts and try to help give you a better understanding, which is fine. I wanted to cover...